Alright guys, so here we are with the 55-inch LG OLED C5. We are going to be checking out that 4K processor. We're going to be checking out that brightness booster. We're going to be checking out all the aspects that we know that makes the C5 the C5. There's a lot of talk about this being basically a older gen G series television. I'm going to see how true that is, since I actually do have a reference point of measurement, since again I have reviewed those TVs. They have a new logo, LG. Life's good is what they put on the box now. So we'll see if life is actually good or if it's the same as it's always been. And yes, we will be comparing to the LG C1 from 2020, I believe. I really got to do a year check on that. I could just look at the serial number that's right back there, but you get what I'm saying. We're going to look at the LG C1 and we're going to make sure that it's an improvement significantly over this, or if not, we'll talk about that as well. So definitely keep your eye out on that video to come. If we talk about the stand assembly, it's exactly the same as it was last year and the year before. So the screws go right here on the bottom, one here, one here. You've got this, again, I say credit card looking thing. This little centerpiece, it just slots right in through the middle. And after you put this little piece in through the middle, from there, you have your screw holes here and your screw holes here, and that tightens it up. Then you're going to look at the back of the TV and you're going to put it in on the back of the TV right through here. Now, I've already saved you some of the trouble, but you basically, from there, want to start screwing in your screws. Again, I like using this little hyper tough thing from Walmart. It's like $9, $10. But it gets the job done very easily, which makes my life easy, and I'm all for that. And there you go. So you got all your screws screwed in. And that's pretty much the entire process. We make our way to the design, looking at the back. They still rock this really nice marble look. I really dig it. I think, again, it's one of the nicer things LG has done in recent memories, and I think a lot of you will appreciate that as well. So this next part is totally optional, but what I like to do is take this little piece right here, and I like to plug it in here. Just make sure I like to usually hook it with the H part here, and then from there, put it in. And again, this is just completely optional. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. Some people might not want to, but I think it helps with wire management a bit, and so you can pull it off and put it on however you really want to. Now, some of you might take protest to this next statement, but it is very clear that with LG's redesign of their remote, they are trying to be more like Sony. And I mean that wholeheartedly, because this is literally almost a copy and paste minus this little centerpiece from what Sony's remote looks like. But now, I'm not just going to make a claim like that. I'm actually going to show you, because right here, we have the Sony right here. And you can clearly see right down to the way they do their buttons, where the settings wheel's located, where the back button's located, the volume buttons. It is so very similar to what Sony, but I mean, literally 4 buttons right here, 4 buttons right here. It's a copy and paste. I'm not going to lie. It's a little shameless. I don't really like shameless things like this. I wish they would have done their own thing, but right down to the logo at the bottom, it looks like a Sony remote. I think that was the intention. It's the same exact size, the same shape and dimension. So it's clear that their inspiration for their remote remodel clearly came from Sony. Albeit, again, Sony had the better metal remote back then, but now, especially that they've downgraded even their flagship in 2025 from the nice metal remote here to the plastic one, they would look exactly the same. I mean, it would be hard for us to be able to tell too much of a difference between LG's remote and Sony's remote. Fun little fact there. Now, looking at the LG on the media console, there is no doubt that this just looks premium and slick. The gloss screen just gives a crystal-like look in your home, and I think that's why a lot of people like it. It's like looking at an onyx crystal just sitting there, versus, again, if you look over here at something like the Samsung S95F, it's just, it's there, it's not really exciting, to see on your media console. It's like, it kind of feels a little cheap, versus over here, you clearly feel like you've got a Mac Daddy model, even though it's not the most flagship, you know what I mean? So I do think that, again, for this being their mid-range model, it's holding its own even with flagship models, if that's what the flagship looks like. That being said, let's fire this thing on and see what it's all about with the setup process. So now we're going to press the OK wheel button on the remote, starting up the TV process. They always start off with this really weird, super sped up text-to-speech option, which is just really irritating. So after you deal with the startup and the super fast robot voice, then it's going to ask you your country. I selected the United States. Now they're going to ask you for your time zone. I'm just going to select Denver.
Denver, check.
Okay.
Next, button. Accessibility settings, adjust the visual and auditory settings to optimize your viewing environment.
Yeah, and now it's just going crazy with the accessibility crap. I mean, it is just really, really annoying. The auditory settings, like the visual and auditory settings. I'm not gonna lie, this is the part where your TV kind of sounds like it's a little drugged out, as some would say. But yeah, it's weird. It's weird how it's like super sped up like a chickmunk. It's kind of irritating. I think it could have been a little slower. If it's to help people with auditory issues, that's not gonna help anyone, but who knows? So I literally just clicked on this thing and listen to how fast this thing goes.
Functions to optimize your viewing experience. After initial setup, you can access diverse settings via home. Accessibility, audio guidance, on.
What the hell is that even supposed to be? Listen to how fast it speaks.
Device power sound, on. Text with high contrast, off. Grayscale, off. Invert colors, off. Grayscale, off. Device power sound, on. Audio guidance, on.
That's not gonna help anybody. And listen when you go back.
Back. 2 items in total. Vision features. Accessibility settings, adjust the visual and auditory settings to optimize your viewing environment. Accessibility settings.
Who the hell is that supposed to help?
Accessibility settings, configure vision and hearing functions to optimize your viewing experience. After initial setup, you can access diverse settings via home.
That's whack.
Audio guidance, on.
Here, let's turn it up so you can hear how fast this shit goes. This is supposed to help people with auditory issues. Listen to how fast it
2 items
goes.
in total. Vision features. Tap. Accessibility settings, adjust the visual and auditory settings to optimize your viewing environment. Accessibility settings. Accessibility settings, configure vision and hearing functions to optimize your viewing experience. After initial setup, you can access diverse settings via home. Accessibility, audio guidance, on.
What the fuck is that supposed to even be, man? LG's bugging with that.
16,
They're bugging with that. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off. That ain't gonna help nobody. I'm 1,000,000% positive that ain't never gonna help nobody. That is just, no, speaking way too fast right there. So what we're gonna do now is then go into our device setup. We're gonna set it up with the remote control. Since I'm not a part of the ThinQ ecosystem, I don't have a lot of LG stuff in my home. We're just gonna go ahead and click next. Now, I've decided to opt out of using the internet like I do with every review. So again, I couldn't care less about starting off with internet on because I don't find that particularly helpful. So we're gonna go ahead and skip that and go next. They were talking about the environment analysis and all this crap. You could set it manually. I mean, I guess they're gonna ask you all the same questions they ask you every year about your cable and your antenna. I'm just gonna click none and I'm gonna go to next. Then they're going to be as nosy as they are every year and ask you for your zip code. After asking you about your zip code and all that, then you're going to do the stand type. I always do table mount. I never wall mount TVs, literally ever. So tabletop it is. We're going to turn on AI Picture Pro. The picture off rip looks washed out as fuck. I'm not going to lie. I mean, they're like, oh, with AI Picture Pro, it goes from shit to shit. Look how shitty it turns into. Yay. It's really annoying. And the corporate music each time always kills me. I feel like there needs to be like a commercial. Welcome to the brand new LG C5, where we take your ultra shit picture with a really shocked baby as to how we could ever produce a picture so shitty into something a little more shitty. I don't get it. It's really, really ridiculous, this corporate music. But I always turn on AI Sound Pro. As you can hear, substantial uptick in sound, at least as far as the loudness. But quality, no, it doesn't really sound all that great. We'll put it through its paces, but I doubt it'll be worth my time. Now it's gonna ask you for the always ready. I just always turn this feature on. I like to do that so that the device is always ready when the TV is off. And I so happen to want to use voice recognition or music playback devices or whatever. It's usually a good idea to have that feature on. Then I'm going to click next. And it begins. We officially start the review of the LG OLED C5. Explore the world with your LG TV. I mean, I guess. All right, and now they're telling you to sign into your account. I don't have an account. I never make an account. Never, not even on my C1, so it is what it is there. And off rip, the one thing that I think off the top of my head is this TV is really, really washed out. Like, the color, all TVs are like this in LG's defense, but I want to see if they still have that preloaded demo content. If we can't just see something, I don't know, probably won't be under media player, will it? I mean, they have some examples. Do they have any sample footage? No. This is kind of crappy. I mean, just look at this picture. They've been using this since like the LG C7 or C8 or something like that. Yeah, and that looks very washed out. Like very washed out. I mean, it's mind-blowing that this is, this is what you're doing out of the box. Not impressed at all. I mean, look at this building right now. I mean, that's not great. I mean, again, I feel like it has potential, but I'm going to have to bring it out of it. I knew that was going to be the case, but to see it to that extent, it's just as bad as the S95F. A little bit better, but it needs some work for sure. So the obvious out of the way, I don't really see any like demos or anything that I could pull up right now. I have to be connected to the internet, I guess, to do that, which I don't really particularly feel like doing. So like a stupid ass, I'm going to be scrolling around to see if maybe there's just something else that I've missed somewhere. And I don't see that there is anything that I've missed at all. Okay, so that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and put some content on the screen and just talk about what we see next as a first impression. But do keep in mind that these are first impressions. Now, my first impression so far, just looking out of the box picture, is holy shit, the red looks like it improved with LG, like substantially actually. Normally it's this like really, really off blood orange color, but the red looks really good. Like, it looks good. I'm surprised. It lacks that greenish hue. I mean, fuck, is LG listening? Now again, I know we're in the coolest color temperature, and when you calibrate and warm it up, it might change, but just the fact that off rip they have red again, like, I am so excited for this now. I'm not gonna lie, because the biggest problem I had with LG is it doesn't have reds. That's red. That's definitely a real red. Finally, after, gosh, how many fucking years? For those who know me, you know me. I have been saying LG has blood orange red for so many years. So at least, at the very bare minimum, you could put it in a cooler color temperature and get real red. Now, just for shits and giggles, this is just for me to know. Because now, like, I am dying to know, can I actually get red if I freaking, put it out of this mode and maybe do something different? Like a warmer color temperature. I know I'm not supposed to. It starts, by the way, off in the auto power saving mode. But I want to see what it looks like if I just go ahead and make a couple of tweaks here. Nothing major, but let's see. First impressions are everything. So we are in the dynamic color gamut, which I'm not opposed to. I don't think there's a problem with that. White balance is something that I do have an issue with, though, because every year LG puts it at cold 20. Of course, if you look at their beautiful little picture diagram here, as you hover over cold 20, they'll show you that it's blue. Like, the cooler color temperatures are blue and the warmer ones trend more towards their so-called red color, but you get the idea. So that's why I'm always coming down on the cold 20 thing. I don't agree with it. I'm going to put it at 0, neutral, right? Let's just neutral out our white balance and see what happens. That's warm. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to go to neutral. And when you go to neutral, you're not adding any extra warmth. You're not putting in a warm color profile. You're just putting it at neutral. Do we still have the color red? And I'd say, yeah. You actually still have the color red. From like all these examples so far that I'm looking at, yeah, you still have red. Like, holy shit. I mean, now I am, to be very honest, starting to see a bit of that blood orange, the blood orange color kind of come in through the middle here. And I'm not really happy about that. That does tell me once I actually calibrate it to a real color temperature, not just something super icy to make all the colors pop, yeah, you're going to have some issues as far as that red again. I do see that, but at least in the coolest color temperature, it is chilled off and it does have real red. So there is an avenue, at least, for people who want red to finally get it. This picture is incredibly icy, though, and it doesn't really impress or leave me thinking that they've put any real effort into the overall aesthetic of the picture. The primary colors look nice. Again, it's just, you're going to have to see how it does after you put some settings in and put some work into it. But I always like to go through initially and just see out of the box what I'm seeing. Am I impressed? Am I not impressed? And I'm not obviously impressed. I don't think I've ever really been truly impressed out of the box. But I can say for LG, I think they're doing better than they've ever done for color. this year, for sure. And again, we're not talking about the tandem OLED that most people can't afford. We're talking about the C5 series that most people can afford. Now, before you start taking offense to that, because I saw like one guy, it wasn't a lot of people at all, I think most people agree with that statement. Most people truly can't afford a G5. And the reason I say that is because not everybody is buying a 55-inch TV. And if you buy the 65-inch, you're going to be set back some $3,000. I don't know anyone, literally in my daily life, who has $3,000 to just throw away on a TV and then turn around and pay all the bills and handle their shit in their life. I don't know anybody that has that kind of money. I just don't. Not in this economy. No, absolutely not. Maybe $2,000, $2,300. Yeah. But $3,000 plus after taxes, $32.99 full price? No fucking way. I just don't see that as a norm. And most people don't have $3,000 TVs. That's not a normal thing. I think anyone who watches this video can understand that that's not a normal thing. So that's why I'm like, I don't see many people buying the G5 over the C5. I obviously think the C5 would garner more sales, as it does every year, because it's more accessible and affordable. That's common sense. So again, that's just for people who get offended over every little thing. You'll be surprised. TV reviews have those people. But at the end of the day, so far, I think, again, the colors are doing a very good job of having, in my opinion, my expert opinion on dealing with LG for as many years as I have, I think this is the most vibrancy LG has ever had. Like, just out of the box, even though it's washed out, the primary colors do have that initial vibrancy that gives me hope that maybe the rest of the TV can fall in line better. Of course, we will do this comparatively to the LG C1. But at this point in the video, I do want to let you know, because I am using all my test content that I always use to see certain things, macro blocking is still here. I'm going to go ahead and raise my camera sensitivity light, or ISO, okay? I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but yeah, that macro blocking is definitely still there. I'm going to zoom in as much as I can here. And yeah, it's there. It's definitely there. I don't know if we need to lower it, raise it, but you can clearly see macro blocking all over here. All those little squares, just macro blocking everywhere on this. So yeah, if you did not like the macro blocking, tough, because LG has not fixed that. And I know a lot of people want these improvements, but this year is not your year for that to have been fixed. So again, also, I want you guys to pay attention to what just happened. Like, I'm not able to show a 1-to-1. Also, I did want to put that out there. Camera technology just isn't there yet. So right now, it probably looks like it has a lot of contrast and it looks really, really good. Again, lowering down and raising your camera sensitivity to light will change the image dramatically. So if I raise it up really high, it'll be really clipped out. If I lower it down really, really low, I can hide most imperfections and be like, oh man, look at how beautiful, look how contrasty the LG is. Camera tricks are a thing, and I know people don't know that if you don't record this kind of stuff, but camera tricks are definitely a thing and a regular part of the business. So just putting you onto that, because not everybody is as honest as your boy over here at Quantum TV. Some people actually just want to sell you on whatever. Which again, I have no reason to lie to you. I have the best TVs there are. I mean, really, and I want you to have the best TVs there are, which is why I do this, because I want to help you. So again, there's no way I want to help you, so I want to lie to you. I genuinely want everybody to walk away with great picture quality. Again, macro blocking is a massive problem though this year. I've noticed that, and I'm seeing it here again. I'm going to go ahead and raise that ISO up. I know you could probably start to see some of that macro blocking all in there. It's so bad. I mean, it won't drive me particularly crazy, as psychotic as that sounds, I know, because it's an artifact, and artifacts are usually always a no-go for a lot of people. But macro blocking isn't as big as a deal breaker for me as something like a blurry TV or a lack of clarity. And this does not have those issues. So yes, it definitely still has macro blocking, and I'm not a fan of that. But I could forgive that a lot more readily than I could something that just looks like shit. That's just me being honest. But again, yeah, I mean, it's got its usual bones, the LG bones that we know, and I guess some people really love. It's washed, I can definitely tell you that. It's definitely washed. I'm going to have to do a lot of work to this thing, and I'm not excited about it, if I'm being honest with you. It's not as bad as the TCL QM8K, though. So if out of the box you were wondering which one would be more competent, this is way more competent than TCL. Because I don't watch or look at this and say, oh, it's so fucking blurry, I can't stand looking at it. It just needs work, and I see a lot of like latent work that it needs. try to lower down my camera sensitivity to light. I'm all over the place with this ISO trying to give you guys a one-to-one as close as I can, but of course I should just stop because it's not going to happen. You got to trust the commentary. But let's go through, again, some of the options, too, that we have this year, setup-wise. So we have the same picture modes that we have. We have the personalized picture, where you can go through and you can let it kind of go through a host of different options based off of what your preference is using AI. So they're going to ask you what you like, and you look at like 6 pictures in a row. And let's say for this example, I actually like the first one better. Okay, we go to the second one. The picture that kind of sticks out the most to me would be this one. Okay, we go to the next one. Which picture sticks out again the most to you? I'd probably say I'm rocking with this one. Next picture that sticks out that you like the best, if I was looking off rip, I'd probably say something like that, right? If we look at the next picture, the one that sticks out the most to me off rip, this one. And then we got 2 more examples. Which picture kind of sticks out the most to me? I would actually say I'm gonna go with my first instinct. I really like that one. And then the last example they're gonna ask me is going to be between, they're already done, analysis complete. And they say, you like a clear and sharp picture. So if anybody ever wanted to know what my personal preferences were, it's clear and sharp. No shit. I think that should be everybody. And then they apply their settings to your personalized clear and sharp. And then you just kind of compare it to what they have. Vivid. I mean, actually, Vivid doesn't look very overzealous, if I'm being very honest this year. It actually looks pretty decent. I mean, again, just kind of clear that off. Okay, clear off the settings. It looks decent enough where I feel like this is probably where you're going to find the better optimization, maybe, potentially. We don't know. I do see a good uptick in vibrancy, which lets me know the bones are there. Standard has exceptional contrast, I'm noticing. Like the black levels just improved tremendously. Okay, so that's going to probably be where you go for contrast. It's kind of actually the same as the auto power saving mode. I know a lot of people always ask, why do you use eco mode and auto power saving? They're just presets. You have to look at the behavior of the presets and what they do. I do this every year and I kind of get a feel for it. Yeah, movie mode is really green. It's really, really green. I could see that immediately. That's going to need a lot of color adjustment. Not looking forward to that at all. Okay, so let's go to the next mode. We're going to go to sports mode. That's very blue. Very, very blue, but very vibrant though. Like it's definitely very vibrant. I could tell you that the vibrancy of the red is definitely on par with the quantum dot color that I've seen for sure. At least with the really cold color temperature. When we warm it up and make a real calibration, who can tell you what it's gonna do? But so far so good. Now we're in game mode, and again it looks about the same as all the other modes. Not as much contrast as standard mode had though. That is an important thing to note. We're going to go to filmmaker mode now. Filmmaker mode is really green again. Very, very green. Okay. And as I look at it, it's going to need a lot of work. It lacks a shit ton of contrast, and reds are looking more that blood orange color that we don't like. So that's not my favorite thing. Be very honest with you. That's not my favorite thing. We're going to go to ISF Bright Room, and that's just really bright and really green. And then the last picture preset we're going to go through, we're going to go to ISF Dark, and it's all right. It's not as green as movie mode. I'll give it that. It's not as green as movie mode or cinema mode, because cinema, that shit just got like really flat and really green, and I didn't like it. It was really bad, really flat. I would say ISF Dark would probably be the better professional mode to start from, even over filmmaker mode, if you're trying to get professional results. I think off rip though, I'm probably gonna stick with like either standard or auto power savings, and I'm leaning more towards auto power savings. Vivid though will give you that uptick in that vibrancy. I don't know how much color bleeding is gonna be involved in that though. We will have to check that out. And let's go through all of our settings. Do we still have all the same options? That's always the question every year. Every year what I like to do, they have automatic dynamic contrast enabled. I always turn that shit off because it always clips highlights, and I don't think it makes sense to do that. Now they have peak brightness off. I'm just gonna go ahead and set it to high, just because who the fuck buys an OLED to leave that low? You know, you got your video range options for your HDMI. For limited and full, I like that they just kind of put it right there. It makes it easier than some brands that make you dig for it, like Samsung. Color is already at 60, so yeah, that's really high. I feel like they needed to figure out a way to pull off color a little easier than that. Let's look at the color spaces we have. We have native, we have Adobe RGB, we have dynamic and auto detect, and out of the ones that I just said, Adobe RGB already, I love the way that looks a lot more. We have our color adjustment set to medium. You can set it to high, you can set it to low. Low looks better than any of them. Off gives more natural color as well. But I would say, like, if you're just getting started off, you could start with low if you like a little more vibrancy and a little bit more blue, or you could turn it off and get a little bit more of a natural picture. And then we go to white balance, and then they have all the same white balance options that we've had. Clarity options. Sharpness is already at 25. Super resolution is set to medium. I always like to set these things to high just because I want the max that I could do, because fuck it, why not? Noise reduction, I don't agree with turning that shit on unless you absolutely know you need it. Usually low is a good starting point, but I don't really like to do that. And I love to go again to smooth gradation set to high, because that's just how I get down. They got a lot of different things, but I'm going to set motion to smooth just because I like motion smoothing. A lot of people like it, some people don't. It's your prerogative. So that's what I would set for there. The sound options, they got a robust amount of sounds, but I think the AI Sound Pro is probably going to be your best bet, since it doesn't really have a subwoofer or anything like that. And then your AI service is where you have AI Picture Pro. I always leave AI brightness off, AI genre scene selection, I don't mess with that either. AI Picture Pro, I always keep, or Sound Pro. It's literally just those two. The Picture Pro and the Sound Pro I leave on. Everything else I just leave off. Game optimizer settings, again, you can turn it on or off depending on what you feel like doing. But you still only have OLED motion toggle on or off, so you don't have like the granularity that you used to back in the C1 days of 2021, where you could literally go through high, medium, and low. That's disappointing, but it is what it is. I'm going to turn off VRR and G-Sync and all that bullshit because I'm not looking for that. And I'm going to turn off ALLM because I'm not looking for that either right now. But you can toggle all these things off freely, so I think that's cool. You could change your menu color and everything like that. And honestly speaking, I think that's a badass touch. I like that. That's really cool. Same as, I actually like LG's like game bar probably more than anyone else's because it just looks nicer. How the actual game mode itself does end up faring, who could tell you? But we'll check out some more options here, and then we're probably going to go through some live examples, and then from there we'll probably call it a day for the first impressions anyway. Okay, so outside of that, under the general settings, we have the OLED care options, which the picture care settings are off, but you have comfort mode, theater mode, kid care mode. I mean, I couldn't tell you what all those do. I'm going to have to look into them and see what they all do. Screen move is on, the logo luminance adjust is low, and then you have the care options. So the care options here, we have comfort mode, which gets really blue, theater mode, which gets really green, and we have kids mode again, really blue. And the kids mode is probably going to be the best one. The kids care is the most optimized and looks the best for anybody wondering, like just straight away. That's the one I would say go to if you want to use any of the care picture settings. Okay, so I think we've covered pretty much everything with that part of it. We're going to go to our eco settings and make sure those bitches are all off because I don't like using them. Turn that off. And the brightness is coming in now, and we can see a substantial amount of it. And I mean substantial. So that's always nice. Get your brightness back. I think that's something everybody does. Support, we won't really be needing that. I don't need that right now. And then we go back to our picture settings, and you guys can kind of see again what it is. The other thing I did want to check is I did want to check if they have that like the flickering crap with the BFI, but that's only in game mode I think this year, so we don't have the option to do like the OLED Motion Pro out of game mode. I'm not seeing it, so that's kind of annoying, but it is what it is too though. So what I'll have to do is go to the dedicated game mode because I do want to know. I genuinely want to know, like, is it different in any way, shape, and or form from what I've seen in years prior? So, I mean, I think maybe even on the menu I could customize it potentially, but I don't know. So let's see. Game optimizer, I don't think they're going to give me that option. And no, they don't give you that option. So what you have to do is, I guess, open up the game mode here, game bar, whatever you want to call it, and go into the game optimizer settings specifically, and then go into OLED Motion Pro, and let's just see for a second. We turn it on and we go on. Is it usable? And the answer to that question is no. The OLED Motion Pro is very flickery. So if you wanted to use that, don't. It's flickery. It's a mess. I don't recommend it. It's crap. So you have that answer kind of like straight away, and we're going to go back into like the regular mode. Again, I'm going to be rocking auto power saving mode. I like that preset, at least again when I get started with this kind of thing. You can use standard as well. Standard looks good as well. So I'll stick with standard, I guess, since most people are going to use that. But again, I can't stress that you are going to have to adjust the color temperatures and all that shit. Now, one thing I did want to see, I have my old school LG C1 remote here, and it still does control the TV. So I actually want to see if I type in the old code 1113111, if that pulls up the HDMI signaling override menu, which it does, and we have access to BT709. You can lower the color saturation down, which I think is absolutely fucking crazy, down to 601. And this year it actually does something. In the past, 709 and 601 were the exact same damn near. 1113111. So you actually do see a decrease and an increase. I'm actually really digging that. 709 looks one way and 601 looks another way. And you clearly see the increase of color when you go to 709 and the decrease and all that stuff. So you can be a little bit more creative between those two colorimetries. I like that. BT 2020 is there. DCI-P3 to BT 2020 still does literally fuck all nothing. But you do have the absolute ability to force BT 2020. And if you guys have been watching this channel for any duration of time, you know I do that. Now, again, I do want to show this off too. Oh, by the way, this does confirm that the old school remote will work, as you see. You don't have to have the new one. You can see the remote. Yeah, it does work. So if you have one from an older LG that you're upgrading from, then that's fine too. But again, I think this is like not bad though, because you literally have your access to all of this shit. And it's really impressive to see, I think, anyway. Now again, when you first start this shit, it's gonna look really washed out unless you use a warmer preset. It will not wash out, really red. And I think a lot of people are going to be thrown off by this and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, it's really, really red. What do I do? Just scale down the color. Adobe RGB. There you go. It literally, like, look, that's dynamic color. That's Adobe RGB. You can even use a different preset. I believe like native and dynamic, I think are not native. Which one was it? No, it was native and Adobe RGB. You can work with native to get the color down a little bit, but Adobe RGB immediately will take all of that shit that you didn't like about, you know, BT 2020 and fix it. And I think that's really good. Again, there's a workflow that has to happen and shit like that, but I think at face value, if I'm being honest about my initial first impressions about this TV, it needs a lot of work, of course, but the potential is there, so we're going to do the work to see what happens. But yeah, that basically concludes the unboxing and first impressions and setup and all that stuff. Let me know what you want to see on this TV so I can make it happen. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching the #1 brand in honesty. And until the next video, I'll see you guys later.